Passengers drink as the driver drives. Empty Corona bottles scattered on the coffee table. 6 lives running about the house. Eric walks around in his socks, his eyelids drooping and the whites of his eyes are red. John's skinny frame is full of chili cheese burritos and a half dozen beers. He runs around the front yard. Brett, a little tipsy, sitting, being a voyeur, and watching Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Ariana keeps an eye on everyone, sitting in the other chair with a knit blanket on her lap. Amber walks around, her heart in her throat, and pain and lost love in that heart. Moira, in her tight black pants and almost see-through white wife beater, nipples poking through. John, Eric, and Moira finish food around the dining room table, laughing and chugging down beers. Amber sits on the couch, going off about the girl she hates. Amber turning and seeing Eric in the dining room. Amber yells, fuck you, goddammit. Eric doesn't hear. Ariana listens to Amber and looks at Brett. Both feel so bad for Amber. Brett wishing he could take her pain away and add it to his. Eric, John, and Amber disappear into the front yard. Moira migrates into the living room and plops down on the floor. Brett's eyes mentally copulate her body. Moira is very attractive, talking more than normal. She stands up and then lies upside down, hanging off the couch. Her body stretching so much you can see her stomach, and there's her smooth, pierced little belly. Brett grabs his heart and looks to Ariana. He mouths, "Oh my God." Ariana smiles and laughs. John bursts to the front door. Amber pissed her pants. Moira jumps up and runs her sexy ass into the dining room, saying something about having clothes in her trunk for Amber to change into. Ariana goes outside to see. John follows. Brett stands and walks by the dining room and says, "God, you're so hot," to Moira. Then he walks outside. Eric is sitting on the tailgate of Brett's truck. John is pissing on the tree in the front yard. Amber turns to toss some beer on John, and John hops away across the yard trying to get away and also zip himself up. Ariana stands in the street, looking over at Blue Ridge Mall. Moira comes out of the house. Amber's pants are dry. She didn't piss them. John can't find his beer, and then sees one in Amber's hand. He chases her, trying to get it from her, thinking it is his. John suddenly stops, realizing his pants are getting wet. He reaches into his front left pocket and pulls out his Corona and takes a sip. Eric and Brett laugh uncontrollably. Moira talks about Amber pissing her pants. "I have a bunch of prom dresses in my trunk." Amber says she has to pee and goes into the house. Ariana stands on the driveway. Eric and Brett sit on the tailgate. Moira runs down to her car and is standing by the trunk with the trunk lid open and is yelling inaudible things about dresses. John stumbles around on the driveway. Cars drive by down the street. Moira comes running up from the parking lot, leaving her trunk lid open and holding a half dozen dresses. Her, John, and Ariana stand in the driveway. Moira drops the dresses on the ground as a few hangers pop out. Moira tells each dress's story. Brett watches and tells Eric, "Sometimes I don't feel anything for her, and sometimes I want her so bad." What Eric may not know is Brett is talking about the wanting of his heart and not of his cock. Eric looks back at him, then gets up and walks down to Moira's car and shuts the trunk lid. Moira holds dresses up to John's chest. Brett can immediately imagine what John will look like in it. Eric walks back and sits next to Brett. Amber comes out of the house. Moira talks about wearing a dress to a dance. "I lost my virginity in this one." She walks over and slides the dress over Brett's head. She laughs and walks away. Dresses cover the driveway. Brett takes the dress off. Eric says, "The dresses don't belong on the ground." Moira picks up the dresses and says, I have to go close my trunk. She runs off across the road and trips and falls under her stomach. Brett and Eric laugh hysterically. John laughs and picks up a forgotten dress. He runs after Moira, holding his long arm in the air, waving the dress with one hand and holding a beer in the other. He hits the grass hill and falls in the same spot Moira did. Amber mills about in the front yard. Eric goes inside. Moira walks by Brett and says, "Sorry to make you jizz in your pants." This comment bothers Brett. Moira walks inside. Amber throws an empty bottle across the street. It hits the grass and doesn't break. She runs after it and throws it again, and it shatters in the street, right in front of the driveway. 10 seconds later, Amber walks by the glass and sees it. She asks, "Who did that? Did I do that?" She feels like shit. "I'm just a fuck up. Why should I do anything?" she says. She walks inside. Brett feels for her. John goes inside. Brett sits there on his tailgate and wells up with tears, thinking about his love, about having so much in his heart but no one to share it with. Ariana sees Brett and asks, "Are you okay?" Brett nods. Ariana asks, "Are you sure?" Brett nods his teary-eyed head. Ariana walks inside. Brett sits on the tailgate, thinking about losing his last love and wanting to be close to someone. Ariana comes back out and sweeps up the broken glass, sweeping the small pieces into the ditch and picking up the bigger shards. She sets them on the tailgate and finishes off the street. Brett picks up the broken pieces and goes into the house. John pukes. Eric passes out. Amber cusses more about Eric and the girl she hates. Moira still turns on Brett. Ariana keeps an eye on everyone. Brett goes into the kitchen and throws the broken pieces away.